for clicking on my video. Today I have this spring rosy and gold eyeshadow look for you. It is super rosy and super wearable for day or nighttime. So yeah, we can just go ahead and get right into it. Hope you have a good first day of spring. Don't forget to subscribe, and for my mini tutorials and pictures of my looks, you can also check me out on my Instagram at Tara Marie. So without further ado, let's get this spring look jumping. Sorry, I'm just so happy that it's spring. Let's get into it. Hello. So we're gonna go ahead and just get right on in this spring look. To start off, I'm gonna go ahead and take my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Tan Sand and just pick up a small, like shortened flat brush. And I'm going to use this concealer as my eyeshadow base. And I am just using this brush to get a nice layer on there, but I like to use my finger to blend it out. Alright, so now that we have our eyeshadow base down, I'm going to go ahead and set that with my NYX HD finishing powder in the shade Banana. And I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and get a good amount of that on there and just pat this right on top of where we placed that concealer to set all of that in place. For today's palette, I'm going to be using the Boxycharm PUR however you say that palette, and it's got all of these nice, really beautiful, bright spring colors in here, so perfect for this look. First day of spring, let's get it. Alright, so to start this look off, I'm going to be blending together Nikki and Belle, which are these two kind of peachy, corally shades there. And then I'm just gonna pick up a fluffy brush and I'm gonna pick up, it's a little bit of fallout with these, so beware of that. I'm gonna pick up some of that and I will zoom in on my eye so you can see what I'm doing better. And I'm just going to stick that right above my crease. Really working that color in. And I'm gonna flick it out on the ends just a little bit. And this does look very subtle against my complexion. So I'm just gonna have to keep working with this until I build up the shade to my liking. Alright, so I've got that first shade down. So what I'm going to do, I would like to deepen this up a little bit, but unfortunately I don't have like a particular shade exactly that I can use to make this a little bit pinker. Maybe if I dip into Bay, this shade right here, it's slightly darker. Maybe if I pick that up and use that shade to deepen it a little bit more. Make it a little bit more pinker. Moving on, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up our defining shade, and to do that, or sorry, not to do that, I'm just gonna pick it up and I'm gonna be using this shade BFF, which is this like purple magenta-y kind of shade right there. And I'm just gonna use the same brush and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus it right on the outer corner here because we are going to be doing a half cut crease to really make this pop even more. So really just sticking to the outer V with this shade. Alright, and then before I go ahead and cut my crease, I'm just going to use my finger and pick up those orange peachy shades that we used earlier and just use my finger and kind of tap that right on top of, in between those other two shades. And then I'll use my brush, I'll go ahead and pick up a clean fluffy brush and just barely swipe that on, just so that we do not lose that coral shade that we put on. And I'm so upset that this is going on so dry. Ugh. So you know what I think I'm gonna do actually, because this coral is just not showing up how I would like it to. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Alamar Cosmetics palette, and I'm gonna pick up the shade Cocoa Taxi, which is this orange shade right here. And I'm gonna use that to see if that will help bring this out how I want it to. And just blend it right on top of there. All right, and just doing a little bit. And it's also not going on as dry. I would say with this Boxycharm palette, this is my first time really using it, and first impression so far is it's not my fave. I feel like the eyeshadow itself is kind of dry, so it's going on a little drier than I would like. So I wouldn't say that Boxycharm eyeshadows are their kind of like big win. Definitely not. So after doing that, I'm gonna go back in with BFF, which is that pink shade, and blend that out. Okay, so I know my eyes are looking a little crazy right now, but trust the process. In the end, this is gonna look super beautiful and bright for spring. So our next step that we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and cut my half crease. So I'm just gonna pick up the same flat brush that I use to apply my eyeshadow base, and then use my concealer. And I always just pick up a little bit off of the wand applicator. And then I'm gonna start cutting out my crease. Sorry about that, I had to go stop my dog from barking at people. So anyway, now that we have our cut crease, I'm gonna go ahead and apply the shadow, and the shadow that I'm gonna be using today is Charmer, which is this really shimmery gold shade right here, or like gold champagne kind of shade. And before that dries down too much, I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up and place that right on top of where we place our concealer. Sorry, so I'm actually like, I actually really don't like this palette actually, because all these shadows are just going on so splotchy, and like I am just not about it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up my Morphe 15N palette, and I'm gonna use the shade Unique, which is similar champagne-y type of eyeshadow shade, and I'm gonna use that instead. And I can already tell the difference in the formula with the way I'm like picking up out of the pan. It's just working so much better. So I'm gonna use that and apply that shade instead, and blend that up into my crease, and pressing this on that line where the pink meets. And I'm gonna actually pick up this shade Cliche from this also, because it's pretty close to BFF. So I'm gonna pick that up using my fluffy brush and just kind of blend over where that line ends, so we don't have any super harsh lines. And then going back in with Unique. Okay, so now that we have all of our eyeshadows blended out, I'm gonna go ahead. I was debating back and forth on if I wanted to do a winged eye for this or not, and I think I am. I'm just gonna do a very small one, just to kind of pull the look together. So for my wing liner, I'm gonna be using the L'Oreal Paris Voluminous Liner in Nior. And I personally really like this liner. It's a felt tip. And you know, I feel like it works just as well as like the high-end brands. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a small wing. Now we have our wing liner, and next what I'm going to do before I move on to the face is apply my falsies. And for today I'm going to be using Lilly Lashes, the limited edition Faux Mink pair. I already kind of took them out of the box, but this is the style. That is what they look like. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those on. Alright, so I have my lashes on, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the face. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out on you so we can focus on the skin. But first, I'm going to go ahead and clean up all of that fallout that we had from our eyeshadow. So to do that, I'm just going to take a tissue and wrap it around my finger, and then I'm just going to grab some Vaseline. And I haven't applied... my moisturizer has been sitting on my face for a pretty long time now, and with using the Vaseline, it is moisturizing, so I don't risk, you know, kind of drying out my skin with using a makeup wipe to do this. So I just grab a small amount on my finger, and then I go ahead and wipe that line away. So now what we have left is a nice clean eyeshadow line, and then I'm just gonna pat my finger on the edge there, just to blur out that shadow line, just because I don't like a super harsh eyeshadow line. I just think it looks a little too much in my opinion. So do that on both sides. Okay. Cool, and then next what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and prime my face. And to do that, I'm going to use my, sorry, I have like eyeshadow all over the place. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Cover FX blurring primer. And like in my usual videos, I don't apply this all over my face. I just apply it in my nose where I have like pore problems. So I'm gonna go ahead and press that into my skin and do that up good. And I'm just gonna use the excess and kind of rub it everywhere else. And then for my foundation today, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible in the shade 109. For this look, I would prefer more of like a dewy foundation, just because this is spring, so I love a dewy look. But I haven't gone out to buy that just yet. So as an alternative to this foundation, I would also recommend the L'Oreal True Match foundation that comes in those small like little glass bottles. I love that foundation as well. I'm in the shade, I think it's W7. It's either N7 or W7. But yes, I'm gonna have to go to Target and pick that up. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and use my Pro Matte, and then we can dewy ourselves up later once we move on to our highlight. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dot this along my face where I usually put it, and then I'm gonna pick up my damp Eco Tools beauty sponge and just blend this on out. So next the first video where I get through the whole thing without having a like word flub, like that'll be, I don't know, that'll be a huge accomplishment because literally every single video, if you watch, I mess up my words in every single one. But with practice, eventually I'm gonna get it. So, like I was trying to say, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Tan Sand. And I am going to highlight. I do want a bright highlight for this. So I'm gonna go a little ham on my highlighter. And just bring that down and do a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Just because I want my skin to be flawless for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this out using the opposite side of my beauty blender. Still damp. And so I don't bore you to death, I'm just gonna do this really quick. So we are done highlighting and my face is looking a little pale, just a little bit. But before I move on to my contour, I'm gonna go ahead and set that highlight using my Pretty Vulgar Loose Setting Powder. And I'm just going to, sorry, my nose is itching. Okay, I'm going to take my Ego Tools sponge here and use that short edge to pick up some loose powder. And then I'm gonna go ahead and apply that right under the under eye area. But I'm starting along the side of the nose to help me really snatch my nose for when I contour. Just like that, and then move along. So now that I made myself look extra ghostly, what I like to do is take the excess powder that's on here and I just press it into some areas where I usually crease. But I'm not going to let this sit for too long because I don't want it to dry me out. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my fluffy face brush and starting with my jawline, I'm just gonna go ahead and brush all of that powder away and along the nose as well. So next, finally, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my contour after I get my loose setting powder in order. Whew, there's so much dust every time I like close that thing. Okay, so for my contour, I'm gonna be powder contouring using my L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Powder in the shade Cappuccino. And to apply that, as usual, I'm gonna be using my diagonal face brush. And then I just kind of like dip it right on in there and shake off any excess. And then I start carving out where I put my contour and then blending that up to above my ear. And then when I get to my forehead, I just pick up a little bit more and use the brush horizontal. And as I get closer to my temple, I turn the brush vertical. So there's a good gradient there that hugs where I put my highlight. Okay, and then to contour my nose, I'm gonna pick up a flat, or just like a small fluffy brush and my eyeshadow, and just kind of rub off any, sometimes my eyeshadow has like a little bit of excess on there, but I'm gonna use this and dip it into the same Cappuccino and then use that to contour my nose. Alright, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is move on to my blush. And for my blush today, another one and only that I use is my Note blush in the shade Desert Rose. And don't worry, I'm gonna come back to my eyes. Not quite done with the eyes. I just always get carried away with doing my face, and then I just always forget about like those last couple steps that I usually do for my eyes. But no worries. Going to come back to that. I also need to get some more skin mist, because now that it is spring, we want dewy, we want nice, beautiful, dewy skin. And then, like I usually do, take the excess blush and then just kind of dust that over my nose, just to give me an extra like rosy look to match our nice rosy beautiful eyes that we have going. And then now I'll go ahead and go back to my eyes before I forget. So for my eyes today, I am going to pick up, let's see, because I know I like switched around my eyeshadow palettes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this angled brush, and I'll go ahead and zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna pick up Cliche, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and first go into my Alamar palette and use this Cocoa Taxi. And I will use this small fluffy brush, the same one that I used to contour. And I'm just gonna pick up that Cocoa Taxi and blend that right underneath my eye. And you can't really see it too much, but it's a good base before we put the other shade down. And then after I go ahead and do that, I'm gonna use the angled brush, and this BFF in this Boxycharm palette, it did go on decently. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that and apply it closer to my lash line. And there we go. And then to finish off this eye, I'm gonna be using my L'Oreal Voluminous / Paradise Mascara. And I'm going to apply a coat to my bottom lashes. All right, and so now we're finished with the eyes. And I'm going to zoom back out and see how nice that pulled everything together. Oh, I'm loving this look so much. Okay, so next I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my lip. And for my lipstick today, I'm gonna be using Becca Cosmetics in the shade Taupe. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick that up. And this is just a nice peachy kind of taupey, or peachy on me, taupey on probably people. If you're lighter than I am, this will probably show up more taupe. If you're darker than me, it'll show up even more peach than it is on my skin. And I'm not gonna line my lips for this look. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that right on. And to make my lips look a little fuller, I'm just going to apply that just above my natural lip line. And there we go for our lips. Nice and simple, quick and easy lip. And then lastly, promise this is last, to finish this off, I'm gonna go ahead and apply my highlighter. And for today, if I can find it, all right, found it. So for today, I'm using my Fenty Beauty highlighter duo, the KillaWatt duo. And I'm gonna just be using my fluffy brush, and I'm gonna be using up the shade Hustler Baby. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick that up and just apply that right there. Nice, pretty glow. And then I'm also going to place a tiny bit on the tip of my nose. And then I'll take whatever is left, and I'm so like clear with this, and just dust it down the bridge, making sure it's a nice defined line. And then I also take whatever is left over, highlight above my brow bone, a little bit on my chin, and then I take another like small little fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to take that same shade right into my tear duct to make this eye pop just a little bit more. And then I'm also going to take that underneath my brow bone. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and make my hair look a little decent and change my clothes, and I'll be right back to show you the completed look. Alright, so this is our finished look. I just went ahead and threw on this strapless dress and popped on some earrings, and that is it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go out and enjoy spring weather wherever you are in the country. Here where I am, I'm on the East Coast, it is not spring weather just yet, but I'm waiting on it. So yeah, hopefully you like this again, and please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll catch you tomorrow.